I'm downloading it.
Hey everybody, welcome to an all-new episode of
Oh my God,
Holotheatre.
Dan.
As always, I am Dan Tertullian, also known as DStarTag1. Joining me tonight with his fabulous background is our 2024 Continentals champion, Brian Fred, and his teammate slash Continentals runner-up, Greg Shaw. How you guys doing tonight?
What's up?
I'd be better if you would have waited 5 minutes.
Hey, the world
Jesus.
does not revolve around Brian Fred.
Dan runs a tight ship.
I try to.
All right, Greg, tell me where I'm going. I'm going to make this happen while we're doing this.
All right. So hover over your little box in the Zoom meeting. And then there's going to be a little pop-up with 3 dots.
Okay.
Click that.
Yeah.
And then click choose virtual background.
We need to get technical. Like, we're teaching Brian Fred how to computer as we're online.
All right, I did that.
I'll be surprised if we can get this done in less than 2 minutes. All
Now
right,
we're...
And then you should be on a thing that says virtual backgrounds. Click add image or video, the little plus sign.
Oh.
You did it. I'm so proud of you, Brian.
Wow. See,
Okay, now I think we're ready to go now.
I'm really glad to see that Brian got it worked out.
This is the best thing that's ever happened to me. This is
Is it?
great.
No.
I'm super impressed.
So thank you all again. We're coming to you live tonight because we're going to talk about Continentals, and we're also going to talk about Worlds, being that a few of us are going. Greg, I think you're not going, correct?
Correct. Unfortunately, I will miss it.
That's kind of sad.
It's very sad. I'm going to have severe FOMO the entire weekend, even though I will be at my sister's wedding, which will be fun in a different way. But I already talked to Tommy, aka Large Porg. He owes me a video chat. And I'm also going to be bugging my teammates for video chats too.
Oh, don't worry. Between your teammates, Tommy, the plethora of other people, we'll definitely get a video chat in. But first things first, why don't we get into talk about Continentals? We got to talk about some of the decks that you guys played, as well as the top 8 run that you both played. You both did. So again, huge congratulations to you both. It was really just. Well, I think you guys have said it before, but I don't think anybody can really just understands how much of a team effort it is for a team like your guys' team.
Oh, very much. Yeah.
What was it? 5 members of your team made to the top 8?
That's right.
It was so. Chris Goglan was the number 1 seed going into day 2, followed by Bill Kafer. Sam was the 4. Greg, you were the 6. Brian was the 7. So, first of all,
bring up the rear.
I mean, did you really though? I mean,
somebody had to.
Technically, I mean, if you look at it, I'm just looking really quick at the chat. Steve Brenson, he was number 23.
Yeah.
So technically,
I was talking about.
Are you just talking about the top 8?
I was talking about the top 8. But poor Steve, definitely. Steve lost the toothbrush coin toss. So.
See, yeah. That's fair.
Somebody had to take one for the team, I guess.
Yeah, Steve took a couple of team kills throughout the course of day 1, if I remember correctly. I know I beat him once. Brian, you beat him once, and then I think he might have lost to somebody else also.
I'm not sure on the other game, but yeah, definitely the 2 of us. He was our, I guess, the good luck. Whoever beat Steve was able to make the finals of the event. So Steve had to be the one we sacrificed this time.
So how did
Love you, Steve.
So how did you guys prepare for this event? I know, Brian, you were at Indy. You kind of hosted Indy. Greg, I don't remember. You were there. You were there.
It's at Indy.
I think you were there.
I was there.
So
we have our team pick of him, Greg, Kesley, and I in our hoodies. That's a pretty nice hoodie you got there,
true.
Greg.
That is 100%.
I just noticed that. I should. Mine's in
Listen,
the closet.
Dan said I like to bling out my decks when I'm playing in tournaments. I also like to bling out my Holotheatre appearances.
I respect
Did
that.
you
I mean, you're the
did
first.
you watch our finals, Greg? The commentary and stuff.
I did, yeah.
Remember how disgusted Dan was with my dark side deck that there
He was
wasn't any shinies
Yes.
or anything
he
nice
couldn't
like that
believe
in
it.
there?
He was like, "Are these even Brian's cards?"
No.
They weren't. They were in fact 95% mascots cards. So I remember when a signed emperor by was it Clint Hayes. Somebody's like, "Oh look, there's an emperor signed by Clint Hayes." They were so proud of me then. But
That
yeah,
was like the highlight of like honestly, that
so
was like my proudest moment I've been for Brian the entire weekend was the fact that I was actually able to read his cards for once.
Maybe Brian
well,
was
I
able to
think
read them
people
too,
that
and
have
that's why
Hayes
he
in their
won.
name,
So
that could be it. I knew that Dedra did good stuff, but then she's just the one you have to sacrifice. Somebody gets sacrificed. It's always Dedra and it's always Kirkanos. I don't know why. It's just those two guys.
how did you guys really prepare for this event after Indianapolis? I mean, it was a nice little break in between Indianapolis to Continentals.
A lot of break.
Yeah, I would say the
You want
same
to go
for
first,
me.
Greg?
I had kind of checked out for a little bit, and most of my prep was just like getting my OCS games in and kind of theory crafting with the team. Um, I don't know. I just had some real IRL, stuff going on, and just wasn't really in the swing of things after Indy. So I had taken a break, and my way to force myself back in was to play OCS games.
I mean, that's a good way to do it. I know, Brian, you qualified really early for the OCS, so how did you prepare?
Well, I'd say I was going pretty strong with getting my OCS games and stuff early on. I haven't played any of the second half now, but it's just too much lull between B sets, I think is what it was. I just got tired of QMC and Thrawn just over and over again. And of course, as Greg said, in real life stuff, I started working full time again at a regular job and other things. So my preparation mostly came, like Greg said, from theory crafting with the team. And I knew Matt doesn't like to go to events if he feels unprepared. So I always try and get together with him for a weekend beforehand. And so I had him send me all the decks he thought were somewhat interesting. And I was really high on trying speeders after the new defensive perimeter and the new ship came out. And so I told him, I was like, I just have him pick. Yeah, well, Dan's shaking his head, so he pretty much knows how that went.
Yeah, I played.
I didn't bother bringing speeders with me. I had Matt pick the Matt. I just said, Matt, pick what you want to play, so we can get as much quality testing in. And he played me Shadow Collective, Thrawn, and Walker Objective, and just trashed the speeder deck all three times. So I was pretty much done with that. And then I was like, well, I looked at what other decks he sent me. He sent me a Watch Your Step deck, and it was one of the decks that I had been interested in starting to play again. I've always loved Watch Your Step, and it beat all three of those decks. And then he was like, well, okay, let's not bother with those anymore. Let's try something hard for Watch Your Step. And he played Return this Invader, and he beat me the first game pretty handily. I think I made a bad line, but the second game I actually was able to weather the storm, and the space dominance and just staying alive on the ground ended up being what did it. So I was pretty set on Watch Your Step. Matt's always he second guesses the decks a little bit more, but I think I always knew I was playing Watch Your Step and my kind of scum going into the event, because nothing really I felt changed for my kind of scum, and I was comfortable with it. And besides the two games I punted in Indy that I should have won at least one of the two, Matt and Justin Crewley didn't lose a single game with it. So I was definitely okay just playing Mikos again.
So that My Kind of Scum, we know that it was essentially developed for Indianapolis. And then you just said it. You said Matt played it and Justin Carulli. Can you give us a little bit of background from that deck? I know I think Justin said a little bit about it at some point. I think you talked about it as well, but give us a little bit more background into it.
Well, I guess it goes back to everybody. Huh?
Why Gamorreans?
Well, it started basically, if you go back to thinking about like the old field promotion and stormtrooper garrison, and just making it so they couldn't target anybody with weapons. And that deck wasn't, it was pretty like one dimensional. But Mikos is, Greg remembers back, we had both had really good runs in 2002. He got to the finals and I got to the top four. And I can't remember if I beat him in the regular Swiss with Mikos or not. I know I beat Brad Reinhold, who was playing Tig also, but I've always had a love in my heart for Mikos. It's just like, because of, throne room and stuff like that, it's just always on the back burner, but it's always on the back of my mind. And then they nuked field promotion. And of course, Matt being Matt Scott and coming up with like just the most amazing ideas and stuff all the time was just like, like now that they've made these cards to help Mikos, we could just make Talking Thug our rep, because you know what happens when he's your rep, right? And I'm just like, yeah. I was like, what? And he's like, he becomes a leader too. And I was like, then the gears started turning. And then we had that deck in the back pocket, but we were sort of waiting. And that Justin Crewley messaged me before Indy, and he was like, hey, can you bring, if I buy 4 Talking Thugs, can you bring them to Indy and, let me, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, obviously I knew what he was doing then, and I had never thought about playing the deck realistically until that point. And we started going back and forth on, ads and stuff. Like I had I think 2 non-uniques and probably like 3, maybe 4 Talking Thugs, and he was on 5 and 4 of the non-uniques. And that seemed really, really good, because the more the merrier. You just find them faster and they can do stuff faster. And he wasn't on any Shattered Hopes, and I was on Shattered Hope, which is we just pushed off of each other back and forth. He finally made I think probably 3 or 4 days before the event, finally came to the realization that Fat Bib is just the all-out pimp of the deck, and he kept trying to play what, normal size Bib? Is that what the Jabba's Palace version is? And I was just like,
yeah.
He's like, you can react with Gamorreans. I was like, yeah, it's to Jabba's Palace size, and half the time your reacts are going to cancel. Do you really want to be relying on a react with Talking Thug to try to save your guys from getting hit with weapons, or you just want to just deploy him? It's just like Fat Bib, he does it all.
Yeah,
Fat Bib is kind of the Fat Bib and Ortug, I'd say, are the 2 linchpins of the deck, if anybody.
Really?
But yeah, that's how that deck came about.
Ortug does have a permanent weapon, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not a leader, but his game text works as if he was your rep, basically, which I don't know that the deck is a problem, it breaks design or anything like that. But if there was a problem with the deck, it's definitely Ortug. Him working and not having to be your rep is kind of wild, honestly.
And I noticed that we have Greg Zinn in the chat. He's our rules advocate. We also have your good buddy Mike Kessling listening in as he's playing on OCS game against Jeff Levine right now. So there might be some changes coming. I'm not just saying, because you just said it, that Ortug might be a problem, but he might not be a problem. So if this deck changes anytime soon,
it's just if he had to be the rep for his game text, I think the deck would still be fine, because he is good, but I don't know that even if it'd have to be. I don't even know that the deck's a problem per se, but if they decided it was, there'd have to be quite a few changes made.
So, and then you said your watch your step. You said you worked on that with Matt. Any real anything that sticks out for you with that deck? I noticed that you played 2 of the Cornhorn Jedi in the deck. Why 2 of him?
Just stronger ground. That's pretty much it. Stuff to more weapon hate for a Shadow Collective, or bigger guys that are harder to hit. Mm-hmm. There's 2 Jedi or 2 smugglers now that can blast your deflection, which is pretty nice for the deck.
And then Jedi lightsaber.
Am I freezing up, or is Dan just freezing up?
No, I yawned. It's kind of late here.
Well, we're all in the same time, right?
We're in the same time zone, yes. So interesting. So, and then Greg, for you kind of followed suit with your teammate Bill Kafer in playing Revenge of the Sith Vader and 0 Hour. What made you go with those 2?
I don't want to stop Greg, but in hindsight, I wish I would have used turn the Sith Vader for day one. When I got there and they were hyping up the deck, and I realized that I just didn't even bother even making the deck. I was like, oh man. I was like, okay, but I want to hear Greg too.
Yeah, I'll start with Zero Hour. Had just started playing some of my OCS games with it. I was mostly playing that and a version of ISP that was pretty similar to what Brian ended up playing on day two. Just playing a lot of my OCS games with those. And I felt pretty comfortable with Zero Hour as far as navigating a day one with it. So I just stuck with that. The Revenge Vader was something that we had been kicking around. It was one of Drew's builds originally. And I had always just kind of been fascinated with the deck. It's kind of built so that it can hang with mains. It has a lot of good game plans for fighting mains, but it also has all the different Vader teleport stuff, whether it's with the sight text or with Vader's obsession to move in the start of the battle phase. So it can also kind of hang with platform decks pretty well too. So I thought that flexibility was nice. It was a really intriguing deck to play, and I did test a couple games with that one. And I think Bill and I probably landed on it pretty independently. I think we hadn't really talked about it together that much, but we both landed on it as a deck that we liked. So I was really happy with the way that deck played. It felt great all weekend long.
Like, I noticed you're playing like 5 Vader's Obsessions. Interesting to see the 2 force pushes. Why 2 force pushes?
Force Push is just a great card in terms of, finding something that you need, obviously, is great. You don't start I Am Your Father in that deck, so that's a card that you might need to get out pretty quickly. But also the exclude text is really important. Like, there are times when you might want something in your force pile, but if you see an opportunity to exclude and kind of swing a battle, it's like not that battle, but the follow-up battle after that, when you just hit somebody with a saber and then force push out. That could lead to some real nasty situations for the light side. So 2 of that card I think is great. I think at different points I was down to 1, and I just kept adding the second one back in because it's so good.
And I like that you like. It looks like you and Bill both use the new Eli Vanto and the Dreadnought. Is that just because it is a pullable ship that you can play?
Yeah,
You guys still see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can hear you.
My screen just went blank. That's weird.
Yeah, we can see you.
Well,
yeah, I played Eli day 1, and then I switched that package out for day 2. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's a nice little, like a recyclable 5 that gets you both Mit Thrawn, or if you wanted to play Big Thrawn, you could play him. But Mit Thrawn and the Dreadnought, and then just having the extra ship against some of the dedicated space stuff could be helpful. It's probably still not a great matchup, but maybe you could sneak out a win by getting an extra ship or doing whatever the other functions are on that card. And then stopping power and attrition is good too. So I don't know. It just seemed like
I really like the addition of Eli in there.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
So
and
now,
then the first game I played after coming back, I loaded up my day 2 version of the deck, which did not have Eli, and then I played against Hidden Base B-Wings in my very first game, and I was like, man, wish I had Eli back in here. He was good. I liked him a lot for day 1.
So,
and it's always nice because you also get the possibility of the third ship from underneath your shields against like Hidden Base and Y4.
Yep.
Oh, okay, that's right. I think that card that pulls Eli or Thrawn, that allows you to pull a Dreadnought, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
with
only
stipulations.
Against Hidden Base or the other one.
Y4. Mind What You've Learned too, maybe?
No.
Mind What You've Learned if they only have. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of something else.
Probably.
So now, was there anything that really surprised you, like that you guys saw on day 1?
No, Thrawn. I didn't. I think I saw that some people had Thrawn, but I didn't witness anybody in the entire field using it. But I think it said that there was 3, maybe.
So there's a total of 6.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Wayne Cullen, Nick Sweetle, Corey Lauer, Eric Hawbaker, Andrew Bolentino, and Matt Wadden all played Thrawn.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I mean,
I don't see Thrawn either.
it's I'm not trying to be like cocky or mean or sound like condescending or anything, but it seems like maybe they were on the just like the bottom tables because I know Wadden didn't do very good. I think he told me, and I know Eric came to me and he said that he wasn't doing very well, and so I mean maybe just that the Thrawn decks were just like the meta would just like pass them up or was ready for them or something. I guess I don't know.
I mean, Thrawn got a lot of hate with this new set, and I think with the new Sabine, for example, people saw that and just did not want to like 0 Hour was really good against Thrawn. I mean, that's what at least what I've seen.
Yeah,
Very
I
good.
think he does pretty well.
Especially with new Sabine. Even without that
Yeah.
Sabine, it was pretty good.
And then on top of that, like I know Hitco can be really, really bad for Thrawn as well. I know that Hitco has been like a very popular deck for light side right now. But and then so and like did you know that Chris was going in with Walkers as his dark side?
I had a pretty good hunch. He had played it at our New Jersey states. Or was that regionals?
I was gonna say I don't think I really thought of it, but I know that he was playing it a lot, so it didn't really surprise me. That's a deck I want to start to play some more. Yeah, that's one of the decks I'll probably. I mean, it seems fun too. Like I mean, it's just like I like walkers. Like I like having like something that you're trying to do to like flip and yeah. So I mean, this is an interesting deck that I would like to try. And I don't think that non-objective walkers is in a very good place right now. So
Yeah.
I can safely take that deck apart, which is funny enough, the second dark side deck I brought with me to the Continentals, and I played one game against Gogolin Friday night in the warm-up event, and he just obliterated me. I was like, yeah, this deck, there's so much about it just didn't seem right, and I was just like, yeah, I don't have the time to try and figure out if I can even make this right. So it's just like I was just done.
So going into again, both of you made it into day 2. How did you guys prepare? Being that there was 5 of you in the top 8, did you guys go to each of you pick a different room? Did you guys just work together and say screw it? Like, what did you guys do?
Well, we ate pizza.
We ate pizza in one room.
One room with lots of pizzas.
Yeah, and we just talked out some general ideas, but I don't think anybody got too specific about what they were playing. I mean, we wanted to first and foremost collaborate on what we thought the rest of the field might be playing and make sure that we were taking that into consideration. But all of us are hungry. We all wanted to win the event ourselves. So
yeah,
that's
definitely.
Yeah, there wasn't
going to be any scoops at all. We'll put it this way. Like we're just going. It's going to be a teammate bloodbath, is what it was going to be.
I wasn't going to ask, but I will ask this, and this is probably the most important question that I have to ask tonight, though. What kind of pizza did you guys get?
Oh, what
kind of pizza?
Didn't we get?
We had a plain cheese that was supposed to have pepperoni on it. We got a grandma's pizza. We had.
Which one was it?
What's a grandma's pizza?
Grandma is supposed to be like sheet pan style.
Okay.
Like fresh mozzarella, some basil. It's just like
sort of like you would get it like New York or something type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's an East Coast, pretty popular among East Coast pizza shops. Yeah, it's called grandma style. It's usually got some fresh mozzarella, some basil, and it's usually square sheet pan. This one was not square sheet pan style. And they forgot. And then what else do we have?
The chicken bacon ranch. No.
Yeah, that's right. Chicken bacon ranch, and then
that one was good. Pineapple or Hawaiian?
Yeah.
Pineapple. Yeah.
I'm disappointed
in
you boys.
It was delicious. we always I don't know how it is, but every time Chris orders pizza, he always finds like the best place. So
That's fair.
that man knows his pizzas.
So you guys go into day 2. Brian, you're right off the bat. You're playing Sam the first round. Greg, you had to stare down.
And Chris.
Sorry?
Chris.
Yeah. So you guys are paired up against 2 teammates. How did that, like, obviously we know that you both advanced, but like how did that go? Because unfortunately, I don't think, neither of you were on stream.
Chris and I were on Sam's stream actually, so you can find that on Sam's. He's Tashi Station, right?
Yes.
It's Twitch.
I didn't know that's pretty badass. I like that.
That's pretty good. Yeah, Chris and I had I think we played Prophet against Walkers first.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of, I had seen his deck a couple times up to that point. So I went pretty light to Tatooine, just like sight with Luke in the middle, and just tried to pour on damage as fast as I could. He had some pretty bad variance his way. He missed blowing up the generators the first time. And I had a pretty big jump on him in terms of damage output. Mm-hmm. So in the second game was Vader against Hiko, I think, and
Sam. That's right. Chris played Prophet or Hiko.
Yeah, and so I think I ended up, he was trying to overcome the differential from game 1, so he was playing a little aggressively, and I was just able to position my guys a little bit better. I had the goods and was able to get a good battle in.
So what made you go with Prophet? Like, I know you played Prophet, Bill played Prophet, or I'm sorry, Sam played Prophet. Why those 2 decks? Why the Prophet?
Prophet was a deck that we were sort of kicking around a little bit as a team. It seemed like the right time to pull the trigger on it, just because we didn't think Team 5 guys would necessarily put us on it, and it might match up well against the decks that we thought they would play. I think it's also just a kind of a great call for day 2 in general. It gives you some flexibility with your game plan. Mm-hmm. If you need to keep the differential close, you can just kind of spread into your damage race thing. If you do need a big win, you can kind of go all in on trying to, put out a massive overflow type of battle and see if you can end the game early. So it gives you a bit of flexibility as well.
Okay.
And surprisingly, that is another surprise from day 1. It wasn't really played day 1, as far as I can tell. So it was a deck that we thought might be a little bit under the radar too.
Okay. And then Brian, you went with Old Allies and ISB. Where did those come from?
Old Allies was something that I had a version of. I had Emil's version from a Outrider Cup, and I basically was looking at it, and I changed some cards before I went to Carl Koenig's house to play. I usually go to play test with him the first month, and when there's a lull in events, I usually go the first month. The second month is league type stuff, and the third month I'll try and go back and play with him and Matt. And I had taken all the It Could Be Worse and the We're Doomed and the 3PO and stuff like that out and tried to put in more cards that I thought would help not prolong you from losing the game, but would help you win the game. Mm-hmm. And then when I was at Carl's house, I just realized that I didn't love the speeders and stuff like that anymore. That I did like the Poe Dameron that Emma was using, the General Poe Dameron. And I went up to 5 leaderships so I could try to find my Leia, my Poe, and guys like that faster. And then most people aren't going to know that you don't have the We're Doomed and the stuff like that anymore. So they might be a little bit more, which I was finding people are more reluctant to just auto-grab leadership because they don't know what kind of stuff is coming. And they saw what happened to, was it Desai at Outrider that just got a million interrupts, just looped and abused the whole game.
Yeah.
So that was the thinking there. And then I cut the dash speeder for the dash virtual pilot because the speeder so many times it's just it can only have a pilot. It can't have a passenger. So it would never be able to do without the old Podameron and what I wanted it to do. So that got cut for that dash. And just, I've seen Sam and other people just like clinic people in QMC with him. And it was the same theory for the old Allies deck. And I kept the blue 11 because that thing can transport like hundreds of guys around. I just like, it's a good destiny. I just like, it just seemed fine just keeping. But other than that, going into the event, I knew I was going to play Watch Your Step day one. And I was probably 95% sure that I was playing Old Allies if I made day two. So that's where the day two Old Allies came.
Okay.
And I don't think it got a single card changed. Like Matt and I just like laid it out. And I'm pretty sure the ISB too. I went to Matt very early, probably within the first like 30 minutes of realizing that I was going to be in the top 8. And I basically already had my 2 decks pretty much like locked in. And because I don't like to fool around, like, you know, staying up late, you know, losing sleep because you're thinking about that card, you know, stuff like that. I'm a believer in trusting your instincts and your gut and like, you know, just like locking it in. I wasn't always like that, but you know, recently more I've been trying to do that.
I mean,
and I guess this time, I mean, they were good decks too. I mean, you always get up a little bit lucky, but I mean, they were both pretty decent decks, metacall wise, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as you get older with age,
ISB,
you get wiser.
I don't know about wiser. It's just like you get less inclined to want to deal with BS. You're just like, man, I don't want to stress about this. I just want to have fun, enjoy pizza with the team, run around and borrow cards from each other. I mean, Greg and I must have exchanged like, I don't know, a crap load of texts trying to find the cards for decks.
Yeah, Brian's texting me were like, do you have these 2 cards for ISB? Do you also have these 4 more cards for ISB? And then 20 minutes later, he's like, never mind, I don't need any of those cards. But I'm still playing ISB.
Oh, man. So
it would have been easier if I would have just used the Galactic Emperor instead of the other Emperor. But it's like, I wasn't going to use the one card that lets you recirculate, and you have no locations in your deck that Emperor protects. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to use the old Emperor, and maybe somebody will think I have a Foresight in my deck. So I was just like, whatever, you know.
So you're paired up against Sam. How did that go?
Well, Sam's always more of a wild card, I think, when we talk decks, because I think like most of the rest of us, well, maybe not Goglin, because Goglin's a little bit more quieter too when selecting decks, but I think like Bill, Greg, and I all had some sort of idea of what the other guys were going to go with, or you know, around that idea. But then first game, Sam picks Dark Side to play, and he sits down and he's ISB, and I was just like, oh, I did not see this coming. And I just am, and when you have, even with the extra 15 minutes, I just knew the game was going to time out.
Oh yeah.
You just automatically know that when you sit down as Old Allies and ISB, because both of you are going to be retrieving force here and there.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be doing like 1 damage, maybe 2 a turn. So like stuff like taking over Fondor and stuff like that, just so you could get pushed 1 point of damage through, was like the game for the most part of the game. And then slowly I was able to wear him down, and he had grabbed something. I don't remember what it was, but it got to the point where the one big drain that he had going was going to be getting It's a Hit at every turn. Because I didn't have a 3PO, but I was playing 2 times they're tracking us in the deck. Okay. So I was basically It's a Hitting his drain, and then activating to the It's a Hit was the top card, doing my turn, and then during my draw phase, activating the 1 card so I could draw the It's a Hit every turn. And he was basically locked down to doing no damage, and I'm doing like 2 damage, and he's retrieving 1. So when time was called, he had 11 cards left, I had 22 cards left. So I got the win by 11 there. So it's like, okay. We could have finished that game. It would have taken 45 minutes, another hour to actually finish that game, I think, even though I had slowly pulled ahead, I think, with being able to stop all of his damage at that point, and I could battle here and there and retrieve with Leia at that point. So in the second game, 11's not like you don't feel like super comfortable, like if it's like a 20-point win or something like that, So he sat down, he had Prophet for the second game, very similar to Greg's, except he had Big Ray, and I think Greg had Little Ray. And I think that was a difference between basically both Greg's and my game in the finals and Sam and I's game one was me trying to set up damage away from where he was and trying to limit, just literally taking like 5 direct damage a turn and trying to drain in space, get a couple of drains, anywhere else. But Sam had the retrieval ray, so he got her, I want to say like second turn or something, so he was able to probably get 7 or 8 cards back, if not more, throughout the course of the game. And I think he ended up winning by 4, whereas I think I won by 4 or 5 against Greg. So it's like the Ray retrieval was like pretty much it's very similar games though.
Okay. So then in game 2, you're paired up against another teammate in Bill Kafer. He again is on Revenge of the Sith Vader for his dark side with his 0 hour for his light side. And how did you feel going into that match?
I mean, I've played a lot of ISB versus 0 hour, so I have a very strong game plan for that matchup. And then Return of the Sith, like I said, I thought that was a very, very good. I wish I would have had that with me. I would have probably played that day 1 also. And I didn't quite know how it would go against Old Allies, basically. Because, I mean, I figured Old Allies was probably advantaged because of space. But I knew that between the Saber and being able to teleport around and stuff like that, it's just like, it's going to be very hard pressed to keep anything alive on the ground. So I knew that I had to tread very lightly. But Bill chose 0 hour to play first and got completely, got crushed. Like, I had the right game plan. I had opening hand both of my Dark collaborations, so I was able to cancel his dodge, grabbed his Hujix, and then delivered another pretty nice beatdown to somebody else. And he got some good blocks in with Ahsoka blocking drains and then moving away and stuff like that. But it was just like, it was delaying the edible. There was one open site that neither one of us was at, and then I had like stacks at all 3 of the other 0 hour sites. So the big thing in it was, though, I had a weird hand, and I had 2 Mara Jade and Ship in my opening hand. So I didn't want to draw my whole force pile. I felt like I needed to do something. And I felt if he's not going to just like throttle me I think I put it out turn 1 or 2. So he wasn't going to throttle me. I knew that. So I just threw it out there, and he put down Ray or put out the transport, got Ray, battled into Mara Jade, and drew a 2. So with the +1, my Mara Jade didn't die, and he lost Ray and had to move away. So I still got the drain of 2, and then it just all spiraled out of control for him after that. Just too many guys taking over his sites and me not having to pay to drain or even bother. I think I might have played another ship eventually. Or honestly, might have just put one guy in the ship for forfeit and just put all the other guys at his sites. And then the second game, he basically was left with a much different game than Greg was left with. And he was just like throwing all caution to the wind and like Dash between keep your eyes open and Dash like literally just throttled everything he tried to do. Like he never got weapons to hit anybody, and then he'd draw like a 4 or a 5 for Destiny, and then I draw like a 5 or a 4 for Destiny. So like my guys are immune. Ahsoka's hitting people, Dash is making it so I don't lose anybody, and that was just But he was very. It sounds like the same as Greg's game of Gogol in first game. Like he was just he had to make too many plays that you normally wouldn't want to make, basically.
Yeah. So Greg, let's talk about your match against Joe Olson. First one was what? Shadow Collective versus your Prophet, if I remember correctly.
Prophet. Yeah. So this was streamed, so people can go check it out if they want. He started Aliens. I meant to go back and look at his deck. I don't know if he had Dryden Voss in there or not, but I was kind of surprised he didn't start Dryden Voss who can get a blaster. He started Aliens. With the draw that I had, I think I probably took a while going into the tank on my first like turn or two because I just really wanted to think things through. With all the use pile searches and the ordering of how you want to do your polls, the best way to sequence things. And then like what if he plays certain cards on his turn, how's that going to impact my subsequent actions from there? So yeah, I really went into the tank on my first turn, decided to just go for the audience chamber. I had a pretty good battle there, and then he started going wide. There was one turn where I ate a little bit of damage, but I was just like not too worried. I mean, he didn't really have a huge hand at that point in the game, and I was just like, I'm going for like some neighboring beats. So I just set up the stack, neighboring over, took it to Maul one time. He took some overflow there. He tried to go wide again, and then I was able to. I had a big sense on his masterful so he could kick. And then the neighboring's just like the initial neighboring getting Maul off the table one time, and then the second beat squad just like sealed the game by 22, I think.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah, it was just
nice
like Prophet doing his thing, which was nice. That was one of the things that we sort of had in mind was, Joe specifically on Team 5 likes to take calculated risks, and sometimes that means like going wide and just pressing damage and hoping that his opponent doesn't have the answers. And we played a deck where I had double neighbor and double Jedi presence, plus some other light side tricks in a lot of ways to have access to them, right? Between the use pile searches, the once per game with R2 being out of battle. So just like, find my tricks, get the neighbor and beat down in, try to keep him from getting a gick, and it all worked out kind of according to what we had planned. And then the other matchup against the illegal deck, the pod racing.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
When did you guys find out it was illegal? That's what I was wondering. Did you guys realize it before you even played the game that you just advanced? Huh?
No, I found out like this week when they were talking about it in the Slack chat.
Yeah.
We didn't know that
nobody.
Wow.
Nobody figured it out until the deck lists were posted.
Yeah, probably somebody that couldn't get, but was like, "Why can't I do this?"
Yeah.
But no, I was Joe had posted some message in Slack looking for Pod Race Arena, so my initial okay, he's probably doing some kind of shield busting thing. I did have a game plan with the Revenge Vader against Hitco, but it wasn't specifically for Hitco Racing, so a little bit was kind of calculating things on the fly. But I stuck with my plan of playing it kind of aggressively. I'm pretty sure Vader's Saber wasn't in there the first turn, so I had to do like a weird pull Vader but leave him at the castle kind of thing.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything I wanted to draw up for, so it was just like, okay, get Vader out, and then we'll get his Saber the next turn, which felt very awkward. I like having Vader there, not giving him an opportunity to like put Luke down to the village, and then I have to move Vader into him. So that was a little dicey, maybe a little risky to do it that way, but the deck has enough tricks to kind of handle mains. So I figured I'd stick with that, and then from there we had a couple really, really wild battles where I was like force pushing my Sidious out of a battle that I still wanted to gick because I just wanted to be able to rebeat. We played all the hits, right? Like Clash of Sabers was there, Jedi Presence was there, Force Push was there, Gick was there. So it was a pretty fun battle, and then I was able to come back with a counter. He was doing his pod race thing. I kept going back and forth on what shields I wanted, and then ultimately decided like, well, if he does have some like beggar stuff, I guess I'm just going to lose to that. And I went with the pod racing shield. I was able to. There was like one opportunity where I was able to spread and be at both battleground sites, the Chasm and the Ewok Village. And then once he got all of his cards back from the pod race, I think that put him at something like exactly 23 life force. But that same turn I had drained, and he lost a Draw Their Fire off the top of his reserve deck. And so I was like, man, that's kind of big. Like, even if he does have the beggar, if he doesn't have access to that Draw Their Fire, then I could probably survive whatever beats he's coming down with. So once he had a hand, he had a lot of force to work with. I consolidated everybody again, got a ship up to the system, and was just like, okay, I'm going to get him under the number. And I think he kind of assessed his options at that point and decided to draw up. But it was definitely an interesting game trying to navigate all the possibilities of shield busting.
Yeah.
A little nerve wracking trying to sit there and think about like what I might lose to. Yeah, it was a fun game.
Yeah, it definitely looked like you were in the tank a few times during that game, just again because we had that one on stream. So, but
yeah, I mean, you have to against Joe. Joe knows what he's doing, and like I said, he's going to take those calculated risks. And if he sees an opportunity to win the match, he's going to go for it. So I think you really have to like cross your T's and dot your I's and make sure that you're making the best decisions from your side of it as well.
So then in the finals, it's both of you against each other. Did you guys say anything before you guys sat down and played?
I think we just like told each other how proud of each other we were, and it's been a long time since I think either of us have been in a final confrontation. So it's just pretty nice to get back to that, and just like there wasn't really any pressure. I don't know about Greg. I can't speak for Greg, but it seemed like the pressure was just like off. We were there, and we knew one of us was going to win.
Yeah, I could easily say that was the most comfortable I've ever felt playing a final competition. Like it was just, I don't know. We felt like we were both just so happy for each other, and then just very happy for our team performance overall. We've had a couple of top eights where we've put four new allies in the top 8, and then didn't even make the finals. So we've had some pressure on ourselves to really deliver and close out an event, and so just getting us both into the finals, there was like a little bit of relief of like, okay, well, we got it. But also, like Brian said, I think just like we were very happy for each other. The second game that we played, not to get too far ahead, but the second game was pretty frustrating in terms of playing out, trying to do my thing in a game of Star Wars, and Brian just like telling me no, like I have the counter for that. I have the counter for that. But I still had so much fun. Like I've never had that enjoyable of an experience losing a frustrating game like that, just because I was happy for Brian and happy for our team overall with how we did.
That's like a game I told Greg afterwards too. I think that's the toughest game of Star Wars I've played in the longest time, because like things didn't like go the greatest for me either. But I mean, I just happened to have some of the counters I needed at the right time, and like I think I was activating something like 12 force was like my max, and like the 2/2 sight. I mean, I know it would have given Greg 2 force too, but I was like, man, and like he so much early drains, and then like when I'm losing off the top, I'm just like resistance character, and then it's just like resistance character, like something. I'm just like. I was like, okay. My opening hand was like literally every ship in my deck, and so Lando's not going to do anything to fight you ships, so he's just like another dude. I was just like, well, it reminded me of the Palace Raiders days, where like you would make do with whatever you had. You'd have like landed ships with like random scrubs sitting on the ground. And I can't remember who it was, but somebody called it my used car lot deck or something like that, because there'd be just like ships landed with not the right pilots, there'd be patrol crafts with like Malos. It's just like that's what it really reminded me.
It sounds like James Booker.
Yeah, I think my favorite play against Greg. The favorite thing I think I was on the table was just like Gold Leader and Gold 1 and Wedge and Red Squadron 1 were just sitting in a sight. I literally like no character on. I just didn't have anything. I was like, well, I'm gonna put these over here and try and drain for 1. This is like, wow, that game was woo.
Yeah, they were both really.
And then
great
of course the first game was not much. The first game wasn't quite that exciting. I mean, we just
wasn't exciting, but it was
we were just going to do damage.
Yeah, it wasn't as exciting, but it was still fun to try and like eke out differential at the margins. Both like, okay, well, it's going to be a tight game, but is it going to be like 4, or is it going to be 8, or is it going to be 12? Like, just trying to figure out like how close can you get it?
Yeah.
Did you hear Phil after the game where he sort of took me aside? He's like, if you ever lose comm scan detection from your hand to drain where they added 1 with, we'll handle this. I'm going to slap you. And I thought about it, just like, oh shit. I was like, and then so the whole second game, I'm thinking if Greg beats me by like 1 or 2 more fours, that's a 2-4 swing, right? I was like, if Greg beats me by, if he ends up winning by 6
Yeah,
or something,
I think that we brought that up on the
so
chat
I was
too.
literally, I was thinking about that almost like the whole time, but there was every now and then when my mind would drift, it would drift to that because that game was so close. I was just like, good gosh.
My favorite part of the first game, which kind of like encapsulates all of the excitement or the lack thereof that you mentioned, was when we took like a 5-minute break to go get the new text for Han's heavy blaster pistol, and Han was not involved in a battle at all. the relevant text was like the fact that it could go use.
I don't even know why. I only thought of it because I read Sam's when we played. Then I read yours. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, so I guess
made such a big deal.
I don't know when we changed the text on it because my slip was like a VSET 0 slip.
Yeah, it was.
I think it's when they made the tweak set where they improved a few of the cards.
Increasing power level.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Because I knew I had used that text, but it must have been on GEMP. And so then we were like waiting 5 minutes for Sam to go get his text, which he was very kind to do. And it was also a Japanese Han's heavy blaster pistol.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you got an upgrade.
I got a huge upgrade. But like Phil has the timer paused and we're not like progressing the game at all because we're waiting for this text. And I'm just like, why are we doing this? Like, I don't even think Brian has any weapons in his deck. So it's like, why don't we just keep playing? And then if it comes up, we can.
I think it was right around the time.
I think like when you said that, like all three of us at the same time, sort of like do like the Spider-Man look back and forth at each other thing. We're just like, why are we just sitting here waiting on this?
So I think the blaster was changed right around the same time that all the solo Watch Your Step cards came in, because the new, like it says on it that you can deploy it on Beckett. Originally, it didn't have that on there.
Okay, that's got to be what it was. Because I remember Jellison had that at Worlds too when in his Watch Your Step deck.
This is a great one. I gotta get on VKit right now and print out.
Yeah, I was gonna say you better print out a new one.
Yeah, along with some copies of the new Ancient Watering Pole. Whoever did that image, that looks sweet.
My first game against Joe in the Swiss event, I had Anakin's lightsaber be in my deck, which I'm just like, okay. It's like I didn't think anything of it, and he reads it at some point. I don't remember if I had it on Luke or was it my reserve deck or something. He's like, is this supposed to be B? He's like, why do you have? It's like it can't go on Mara Jade, and I was just like, oh shoot. I was like, that's gotta be like. I was like, well, Matt's usually right about these things, so I didn't even think about it. And then I asked Matt later on he's like, no, that's on Mara Jade's game text. It doesn't matter that which one it is. I was like, okay. But at some point in that game, Joe plays Force Push. It just has no B slip on it. I'm looking at it. Obviously, he probably forgot to put a B slip on there, but it's just funny that he after the game.
So, what did you guys do to celebrate the team victory?
Oh my gosh, Greg, you got this?
Well, we went out to dinner. We usually do a team dinner. So we went to an Indian place and did family style, which was pretty fun, except I had suggested the place and didn't realize that they did not have a liquor license. So it was a sober team dinner.
I was wondering about
that's super depressing.
That it occurred to me. I was like, this bill is. I asked Schoenthal what the damage was, and it was far less than what I thought it was. And I was like, oh yeah, none of us drank anything. I was like, was that an error? What was happening? I didn't realize they just didn't sell liquor.
Yeah, whoops. But the food was really good.
That's good.
Oh yeah, we cheers with water, which is a first time. So I guess that's the trick. If you win, you cheers with water instead of liquor. That's what you do, I guess. I don't know.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Oh, what's Dan got? Dan's cheersing with Canada Dry.
Oh yeah. I did a fantasy football draft and I drank something earlier, but
so you're already toasting to your own victory.
No, I'm toasting to Batmouse losing.
Who are you toasting to? Somebody was making fun of the 8th place team. Brad Iyer was making fun of. Dan posted the draft. Brad Iyer instantly is like, "What is team number 8? Like, just want to draft all the guys that are holding out?" And I look at the team. It's like Lamb, Ayuk, and like a handful of stuff. But then I notice all the way down, the second to last pick, there's Chase Brown just chilling there, and I'm just like, I was like, is this a PPR draft? I was like, you guys let him get Chase Brown the second to last pick of the draft. I was like, you guys are going to be in for a long season because that was like his 5th running back. If that's his 5th running back, I mean, I don't even care who's holding out on his team. He's probably going to beat you guys. I was just like, what is going on?
I hope so. So,
anyways,
Brian, you're going to Worlds. How are you preparing for it? And what can somebody who's going for their first time do to prepare?
Well, for starters, I'm going to get some of my decks back organized again. I don't know where the box is, but I haven't, since Worlds, I don't think, last year, I haven't ever gone through and updated all of my decks. So for this event, I tried to get it done the night before I left, and so I was up until like 3 a.m., and that didn't turn out well. I didn't have time to... I wanted to bring the ISB deck, and then I looked at it. It was still the Executor version that we had at Worlds last year, and I was like, well, this deck is like 30 cards different now, so... Yeah. And it was like 3 a.m. when I got to that. I was like, okay, that's not going to happen. So I messaged Matt. I was like, hey, can you make sure you bring... what did I tell him to bring? Oh, Endor Ops and ISB, because I was like, there's no way I'm going to have a chance to put either of those decks together. And I was going to use this event basically as a building block for Worlds. I mean, I had no delusions of grandeur that I was going to do as well as I did. You know, I hoped that I would make top 8. I mean, it's been so long since I, made a finals, let alone won an event. I wasn't expecting it at all. And I just wanted to get an idea of what the decks that I had could do. But other than that, I'm going to visit Matt in 3 weeks for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm gonna drive down Friday and drive out Sunday night and play just a bunch of games then, and then maybe some games on GIMP one of the other 2 weekends. I think there's that weekend with Matt is sandwiching 2 weekends, the weekend before I leave for Worlds. So I'll have 1 weekend to get all the cards ready to make sure I actually have correct cards and stuff.
Hey, you should come out to Pittsburgh this weekend.
I mean, I have a handful of decks. Oh God, I work Saturday, so Sunday I got to try to make some money.
Huh?
You guys have an event in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Ooh, what is it?
Ray's ready to come dominate.
Starting off, we start off at a brewery, drink a few, go to the card store, play, and then go hit up more breweries.
Wow,
that sounds like Ohio Mega Worlds.
I just heard Taco Bell's ears perk up.
Taco Bell does not pay attention to Holotheatre anymore.
I don't believe that. He was always in here every time.
I know. It's past his bedtime.
Does he really?
It might be past his bedtime. He'll hear it tomorrow.
Bill does have a bedtime now. I was surprised to see. The most surprised I was the entire weekend when we were in New Brunswick was Sam. It was really close to midnight, and I was in Taco Bell's room borrowing some cards, and Sam just pops in. I was like, Sam. I was way past your bedtime, and then the next day I said something I was like, man, Sam popped in at midnight. Sam's like, it wasn't midnight. And I was like, it was like 11. He was like, it was 11:45. I was like, Sam, you wild man.
Sam was up partying.
That's probably the only reason I beat him. He probably didn't get enough sleep.
What?
Was he? Oh wow.
Yeah, wasn't he?
Because him and Goblin, I guess, they went to the gym.
Yeah, that's right. They bumped into each other
in the morning before the event too.
Huh.
So man.
Interesting.
Maybe Sam was sleep deprived, and I took advantage of the poor guy.
Oh man. Well, gentlemen, it has been a pleasure.
But, I have. Oh,
I was going to say, you got any words of wisdom before we go, Brian?
Words of wisdom now.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom. If I do have Watch Your Step at Worlds, it might be Palace Raiders. So prepare thyself.
Whoa. I can't believe
Okay.
you let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah,
If you're
birds
gonna
on
bring
brand.
Watch Your Step, Palace Raiders,
I-
to Worlds, and play it, I will give you three
the
foil Palace Raiders.
retired box of foil cards. What'd you? Wait, what? You're giving me Palace Raiders?
Yeah, I'll give you 3 foil Palace Raiders if you play it.
Oh wow, you can't. With the background, you can't show
Yeah,
anything.
you can't see them.
It just blends in with the screen immediately.
Brian, I have shields. I have sleeves to send you.
Oh, you know what? You know what I have
Okay.
to send you? Oh, I got one of the boxes still. Yeah, I'll definitely use those. Those sleeves will be sweet for Worlds.
They were awesome. The people loved them.
I mean, yeah,
They
no, we
loved
couldn't
your
stop talking about them.
sleeves. Your sleeves made up for me playing Matt Scott's ISB deck.
No, it didn't.
Only having like 5 signed cards in it. No?
No. Oh man. Okay, gentlemen.
Dan, do you have any words of wisdom?
Go to bed. It's 11:30.
Oh.
Sell
Yeah.
some more cards so you can get more money to go to Worlds.
Dude, I got this sweet Joe Burrow rookie that I just got, but it only PSA 9, so it's only worth like $1,200. But with a PSA 10, it could be like $3,000.
Well, sell
That would
it.
have paid for some freaking stuff.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what Saturday and Sunday, or Sunday and Monday, my next 2 days off, we'll be trying to sell some football cards, basically. See if that works at all.
Well, gentlemen, it has always been a pleasure. Hope you have a good evening. Enjoy yourselves. And as always, may the force be with you. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for having us. Have a good night, Dan.